Political culture is a set of values, orientations, and skills which is exerted by every member of the society and which strongly influence the political behavior of the society and different members within the society. Political culture is one of the major elements of political system, and at the moment political culture is the key element for formation of political behavior and also the activity of members of the society concerning different political issues. The researchers differentiate four major types of political culture at the moment. The first one is so-called parochial political culture. It means actually that political culture is strongly dependent on traditional activities and traditional values within the society. The second one is so-called subject political society. It is connected with the situation then these values within the society are traditional and such governance models like monarchy prevail. The third one is participant political culture. It means actually that the citizens of the society try to take part in different political activities, from meetings up to elections and so on. And the fourth part of political culture is so-called sub-political culture. It means actually that members of the society try not to take part in different grand events, but they try also be active as volunteers and try to play a significant role on horizontal level. It means actually that they try to play the role as the people trying to promote their values on a local level. Political culture is also very important to differentiate from other key elements of political system, such as political institutions or political norms or political behavior as a whole. But political culture is a very important thing due to the fact that political culture strongly influences actually the political tendency, political tradition within this or that society or nation state. It is also very important for the supranational institutions like the European Union. The supranational political culture is a specific type of political culture to some extent, due to the fact that traditionally political culture is bound to the national level, the states. But the European Union as supranational institution managed to elaborate the supranational political culture, which is based on the political cultures of member states of the European Union. Mainly, this is actually the participatory type of political culture due to the fact that the majority of the states within the European Union are democratic states, and they promote the democratic values and democratic political culture, which is the basis for the supranational political culture. But the specific features of the political culture of the European Union is not only its democratic essence, but also the specific role of the supranational institutions, such as the European Parliament, which is summoned within the process of election in member states, and also the activity of European institutions such as the European Commission, which is summoned by the activity of member states of the European Union, and which is the major executive body within the European Union. The political culture of the European Union is also based on the consensus culture. It means actually that the decision-making procedures are based on the consensus which is taken by the member states of the European Union. This is the strong difference between the supranational political culture, this is consensus culture, and the political culture on the national level. But to some extent, the supranational political culture can also comprise different features such as multiculturality, such as features like the tolerance, which has some bounds and something like this. The sources of political culture within the European Union are mainly the political cultures of member states of the European Union. Due to the fact that many members of the European Union were traditionally democratic states, the basis of political culture of the European Union is actually the democratic basis of member states. The founding fathers of the European Union, such as Germany, France or Italy, after the Second World War switched to the democratic path or democratic track. That's why at the moment this legacy is one of the major source of political culture within the European Union. But given the fact that European Union expanding, it has the new member states which is from Central and Eastern Europe. The political culture of the European Union of 1960s or 1970s or 80s actually was influenced by the accession of new member states, which also contributed to the elaboration of the new political cultures. And at the moment, the EU political cultures is strongly connected and strongly bound to the fact that every member state try to promote its interests within the supranational institutions and supranational organizations such as the European Union. But the essence of the political culture of the European Union, due to these strong sources from the democratic countries, is intact. The European Union tries to get many good things and many democratic things from the national level and transfer it to the supranational level in order to promote the democratic principles within the political cultures to the new regions, to the new countries, which are not only the member states of the European Union, but also are bound to the European Union with the associations agreement. For instance, the countries of the post-Soviet space, which are at the moment the members of different programs of cooperation within the European Union, are also influenced by the political cultures which are promoted by the European Union. And at the moment, the European Union tries also to promote best practices of political cultures, first of all based on democratic principles within different regions and mainly in the close neighborhood such as post-Soviet space. The major mechanism of formation of EU political cultures are actually not only the political cultures of the national member states of the European Union, but the political culture of the European Union from the very beginning. It's not only the beginning of the European Union in 1992, but actually the first integration structures from 1950s or 1960s have a solid basis of democratic freedoms, and political culture of the European Union was formatted by the democratic political cultures of the first member states, the founding fathers. But at the moment, one of the very important mechanisms of formation of political culture within the European Union is actually elaboration of the new values and also the heritage of the traditional political values within the European Union on the European continent, such as democracy, tolerance, and also social state and something like this. At the moment, the European Union tries to promote different mechanisms to provide its political culture to the other different regions of the world, and also one of the core region which European Union tried to take into account is the closest neighborhood. This is the post-Soviet space. One can say that the political culture of the European Union has a strong influence on the post-Soviet space, but due to the fact that at the moment the European Union is not in the best shape, the political culture of the European Union is also under transformation and also requires the new traits, the new features in order to be more relevant to the current political and economic situation. At the moment, there are several threats to the traditional political culture of the European Union. The major one is the rise of nationalism and rise of the populism within the European Union, actually in the member states of the European Union, which eradicates the traditional political culture and traditional political values of the European Union. The major threat bound to this surge of nationalism and surge of populism is actually the so-called anti-European moods or Eurosceptic moods. At the moment, many Eurosceptics try to impose their vision of development of the European Union, and many argue that the European Union, notwithstanding it is a working structure and a working mechanism, is doomed to fail. It is actually the failed integration structure, given the fact that it has a lot of inner conflicts and contradictions, which can be seen on the example of such as debt crisis in Greece, or the situation with the quitting of Great Britain from the European Union, so-called Brexit, and something like this. Euroscepticism at the moment is the major threat to the political culture of the European Union, which is based on democratic principles and principles of tolerance. The second major threat to the political culture of the European Union is actually the vanishing activity of citizens within the European Union in respect of European institutions. For instance, the election of the new European Parliament is not really popular thing among the member states of the European Union. The populace of the member states is unaware about the importance of European Union as a supranational structure, which also decides the activity on the national level. In order to prevent all these threats, and also in order to curb the risks of increase of this threat, the European Union should make it best in order to improve itself, and first of all actually to adopt the new system of good governance. The good governance is actually the key for the European Union as a supranational structure, and also the good example of how the supranational institutions can act and can exert their activities on the European continent.